Okay, this is my attempt in a how to play Porom, especially after realization now. And I believe that there's some misconceptions on how she plays. Or at least the way, I'm not going to say that I'm an expert, but I think that I have a pretty good idea of the method on at least how you start with Porom. And I'm not going to be talking, I'm not going to be bothering talking about what Celis and Locke are doing. That's not important to this particular showcase. So the first thing I do is Brilliance. I don't use Cry. Cry is very, very valuable, and you don't want to use it very early. The first thing I do is use Brilliance on Porom, which will be followed with an HP attack. So this is something that I've always done in pretty much every Chaos, is to do that Brilliance and then an HP attack. So now that I've done Brilliance first and then dumped that HP, I'm actually going to do Brilliance again, because if you look at Porom's Brave right now, it's actually going to raise up, because now that it's improved, I'm going to get the better version and get the generic Max Brave buff too, which is good because all of her skills, well, not all of her skills, but her skills are very heavily dependent on her Max Brave stat. Okay, so at this point, I will use Cry. Start getting those stacks up. And also improve the better version of the defense down, because Cry Plus has a much better defense down than the base version of it. Now I want to point out something that is different on realization. White Wave does up to 170% of her Max Brave. So one thing you want to do now that it's almost charged, you want to make sure that you have as much battery. Specifically, you want to have at least 80% of your battery before the EX. So I do want to Cry because of those two things. I want to get that battery, and I also want to get a defense down here. Because now I can easily do a very, very, very strong White Wave. So part of it with Porom is there's a specific build-up that you do at the start, and then you kind of maintain. And when I'm talking about maintaining here is that my stacks are fine, my Max Brave generic buff is fine, and the defense downs are fine. So actually, usually what I want to do here is do an HP attack, because HP attack is pretty decent. This is Y'shtola's HP attack, except a little better because on realization, the Brave overflows. So it's not a bad move. But yes, with the realization, one thing you do with Porom is make sure that you have battery right before White Wave. That's a thing that's a little new. Just gonna go ahead and drop it back on me. Now, of course, this is an old LC. I'm not threatened here. However, and you know, if you need to use her skills as emergency buttons, then you definitely do that. But otherwise, I'm just trying to go through the flow of what I use otherwise. Because right now I'm looking at the generic buff is fine, the auras are fine, defense is fine, so I'm just going to do an HP attack. This is a little interesting because of the multi-wave thing. This makes it a little more tricky. I believe it's probably Wisdom that's, yeah, falling off. I'll just do it again. Okay, well, since there's a wave coming up, I'll just do an HP attack here. Okay, so I try to keep as many cries as I have at the end, because the biggest thing with Porom is that her defense down, in conjunction with her attack aura, makes her really, really, really strong. Or at least with adding Brave to the other... or Brave shaving to the other party members. So I am going to go ahead and open up with a defense down here. I don't want to use the white wave because I'm not going to get a lot of damage out of it, and I also don't need the protection. So I'd much rather get the defense down here so that these other characters are doing much more damage. But now I will do white wave. And like I said, it's really dependent on whether or not you need the protection on demand. But if you don't, then what you're just doing is maintaining your stacks, maintaining the debuff, and otherwise, just HP attacks are okay. You know, it's not a skill, which means that the EX is going to charge a little slower, but I mean, if you don't need it, then it's okay to do damage with Porom. You know, she's not a skill spammer. Alright, so where are we now? The auras are okay, the generic buff is okay, the defense down is going to fall a little bit. And I think this particular boss is about to cleanse. So I will just go ahead and just hit this again. Okay, well, in this case, I don't think that the Cry is going to charge the EX. So I'm actually going to do an HP attack, and then Cry, and then the EX. Because if I had done Cry right then, I would have had to dump the Brave and not have enough for White Wave to do enough damage for it to matter. So that debuff goes down, and this will charge up the White Wave as best as I can. Yep. So White Wave will do a decent amount of damage here. Okay, well, I don't have any Brave stored up, Generic Brave is fine, the auras are fine, defense down is fine. Unfortunately, there's not much to do. I'm actually going to do a Brave attack. And just max out the Brave a little bit. Not always the worst thing to do a Brave attack. Okay, so this is doing the reincarnation, which means that the buffs, the debuffs are gone. So I'm gonna have to reapply Cry. But I mean, I want to point out, in my damage tests, I did try to see how much difference, like, I used Rosa. I used Rosa to see how the damage was between Rosa and Porom. And with the defense down debuff, Porom can do a little more brave damage than Rosa can, if everything is up properly. So that's why it's important to save your cries for the final bosses that, you know, raise the auras up and make your life difficult. Okay, so I can do a White Wave, but I don't have a lot of Brave. And so I'm probably actually going to decide to use this instead. Now, White Wave is going to do more damage. It's also going to overflow Party Brave a little better. Oh, I think I just lost my runic stacks. Oh well, not a big deal. It's not a Celis showcase. Okay, so the defense down is gone, so I'm going to reapply that. And I want to point out that I am almost out of cries, despite the fact that I didn't use them at the beginning. This is what I'm talking about when I'm pretty serious. Actually, HP attack is okay here. Serious about keeping cries toward the end instead of using them up at the start. Now the defense down is about to go, and I don't really want to use White Wave with no battery, so I'm just going to do another cry. Yeah. Again, that's just a case of maintaining that defense down. It's very, very important for Porom. Yeah, we cleanse it all. Just for fun. Let's take all that brave out. Okay, so that's pretty much how it works. You start off with a build-up, you know, you need to build up and get your auras up at max, and you need the max brave buff. Then you want to put the cries down on enemies where it matters. And otherwise, Porom should be doing HP attacks pretty often. So, hope this was a decent showcase. Hope lets you know a little bit about my approach to Porom, and I hope that helps you out. So, hope you're having a good day, and see you another time.